and see what we can do.
Okay, maybe I'll just go through it quickly. So a minute topic and introduction by the moderator, and then a minute opening position by player A, and then a minute opening position player B, and then a 3-minute main agreement, a main argument by player A, and then a 1-minute response by player B, and then a 3-minute main argument by player B, and then a 1-minute response by player A, and then a 10-minute open game between them, and then a 2-minute conclusion by player A, then a 2-minute conclusion by player B, and then a 1-minute wrap up by the moderator.
Okay. I think basically we can do that. I think the only thing that we don't have is this kind of moderator that sits outside of it, right? That's the one kind of feature we don't have yet. Actually, probably we're going to run into some other things that you're like, oh, I thought it worked like this, but it doesn't work like that. But I think it might be fun just to try and implement it without the moderator, just have something and then, chip away at it over time. What are your kind of like your goals and ambitions with this format? Because you're already working on a website. Is there some kind of like?
I went a bit crazy. I mean,
you got download, you got inspired.
it was actually quite nuts because it was actually a game changer in a sense, because I'm playing with a lot of different levels of architecture, and I haven't dived into the 72 convo types for each particular conversation, right? So this was the first time of really diving in, and I've thought that each conversation is almost like its own platform, its own business, its own, like, negotiation, right, is huge. I mean, healing is huge, connection is huge. Each one of those can basically garner its own business, and debate is no, it's massive, like so when I dived in, I came up with an actual interface. I came up with like I use the models to sort of break down the categories. And I think that, and I see kind of like with you, that at some point it may be useful. I don't know, up to you, but like there's the user, and then there's the idea. And then basically it's just about a bunch of categories, right? In nearly any sort of business out there that's online. And so what I have is a sort of very sophisticated method of creating these categories. So it creates a sort of a grid matrix of, like right now, 36 different entry points into different types of debates.
Okay, wow.
So, and that could be done for connection. That could be done for basically any of the convo types.
Yeah. So it's not just like conversation types, but you have like further subtypes of. So I was thinking like you're just doing debate, but you actually have 36 types of debate.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Like if you look at, there's a model I use, which you can write down if you want, that I think that if you just sit with it, you might see what I'm talking about. But it's like the meta. It's the level above the 72 conversation types, because the 72 conversation types are basically business conversations. They can be used and are used in other sort of categories, but business is sort of like the main one, right? Because that's where everyone's attention is. But if you chunk up at that level, you have family, you have social, you have friendship, you have business, service, and intimate. So I'm saying those are 6 meta fields. These are the 6 higher ones that if you look at it, family is very different from everything, right? Business is very different from everything. Service is kind of like business, but there's no transaction involved. Social involves everything that isn't the other 5. Friendship is more, just friends hanging out. And then intimate involves a more kind of intimate connection between the people. And so I call them the 6 sort of meta relationship fields. And they're so basic, it's sometimes the simplicity, we can kind of miss something, but what it's doing is it's distinguishing these high level boundaries around what types will then fall under those. And so then I break down each one of those 6 into 6 categories, and that's what creates the 36.
Gotcha. And then where does 72 comes from, like further subdividing that, or is that, did you kind of start with 72 and then filter up, or how did you kind of like
the 72? Here, I'll show you another map here. Just give me a second. So if you look at the wheel right here,
Yeah.
that's like a universal business model that's part of the operating system. So you have research, infrastructure, learning, operations, creativity, synergy, services, interfacing, stewardship. Now, stewardship could be the same as management, interfacing the same as marketing, learning is the same as human resources, synergy is the same as customer relations, but it's kind of new paradigm languaging. What I do is I take the old business languaging and put it on a circle and then change a few of the words. So just to let you know that, most people are still using human resources, right, rather than straight learning as a category. So I've just redefined some of the major categories for a universal business model. And so in each of these, I have 8 conversation types. So marketing is more like presentations, first contacts, credibility, needs analysis, enrollment, closing, negotiation types of conversations. But if you look at something like learning, it's storytelling, assessment, explanation, theoretical, different. Each one has different types of conversations. And so synergy, which is more focused on relationships, has your connecting, which I think you guys are focusing on, appreciation, grieving, clearing, conflict resolution. So that's how the 72 conversation types come out of it.
Okay. See such like depth in it. I'm still trying to like understand. I'm not like always like fully following you, because there's words, there's things I still don't like, not on the same page yet. But I think this is a great way to kind of start to get into it, like focusing on that one, debate or whatever. I'm just kind of curious sometimes.
Yeah,
so I'll ask you some questions. Yeah.
You see if I can, because whenever you whip out the abstract terms at some point, it's overwhelming. But if you have a map that sort of shows you, then it's a bit different, right? Here's those are the ones I was speaking about in terms of social service, business, intimate, friendship, or family as being sort of meta fields. And then what I just showed you is within the business side of things. So the idea being that software doesn't really organize by models. It organized more by function and button, right? And the languaging around that. But when you start to organize by models, you start to get into a more direct functionality with how our society is structured. And I think a lot of, software has been, again, it's very functional at a very practical level, like Word or Excel, but we're moving into more whole systems that take into account different types of communication that are necessary, right? Like we have these independent kind of functional things, but families are going to talk different from businesses. So don't structure your software the same way, kind of thing, and so I've been working on these language models for so long that I sort of I have my own world. So you don't feel bad. Everyone feels like at some point. So do you want to jump in?
Let's jump in. I think we can get that outline, just of the timings done pretty quickly. And then like I'm seeing a certain like needs probably in the software that we just can't meet yet, in terms of like, basically right now a flow is just one kind of static thing. Like once we built this, this layout, it's there. And if you're going to write at the top, like, please discuss about, the topic, you'd basically have to copy paste this flow each time for a different topic. Like that wouldn't be very useful for you. So I'm kind of thinking ahead of like how you might want to use it and how we would not be useful for those use cases. But getting the flow in there could work. And then if at some point we do have like a moderator feature, then the moderator can introduce the topic. But anyways, I think it's useful to just play around with it and see what we learn.
Okay, yeah. Just jump in.
So let me bring up that thing again. Do you have the outline kind of on paper somewhere or on
Yeah,
on
do
a
you want me
screen
to see
somewhere?
if I can send it to you?
Yeah.
I think I made a little mistake at the bottom, but it should be okay.
I'm kind of going to make this flow from the point of view of just two people in it, and then so without the moderator. Um, it's never going to be like a 3-person debate or something like that, right? Like it's always going to be just two people.
Yeah. I mean, at some point I'd like to upgrade to like 4-person.
Yeah.
But we'll just start with the 2.
Okay.
So now are we gonna have something, a template that I can use over and over again to do multiple debates? Is that what we're aiming at?
Well, I guess you could run this. You could run this multiple times. I'm not so sure yet, really, how you're going to use it. Yeah, that's my. I really am kind of curious.
I mean, I see this as sort of like
Yeah.
so much work sort of went into even just the design, and I have an end product I'd like to build at some point. That's a bit more sophisticated, but it's good, I think, for both of us to sort of jump in and see the boundaries of what you got.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the stuff you sent me. I don't understand where it might be. Did you drop it in
Facebook Messenger?
Facebook Messenger? Okay. Um, yeah, so I mean, there's different aspects to this kind of project, right? One is like just the flow and the design of the flow, and then what you'll get is basically a link that you can send to someone, and then you can join that, and you could experience that flow together in that Warmspace environment.
Okay.
But then there's everything around it, like how do you actually, how do you plan to get people together? How does that work? How do people sign up for this? That's an entirely different,
Well, that's what I've been working on the
problem.
website.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, I think, more on my end, right?
Yeah, like and also on our end, like the integrations for that, they just don't exist yet. So it's like it's very focused on our website right now, like scheduling and partnering up and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the long-term vision for me is to make like an API and then be able to integrate with whoever else's systems and processes that they want for matching people and pairing people.
Well, I was thinking, because I heard what you said last time about you want it sort of powered by Warmspace, and
Yeah.
I think there's just a huge amount of potential between what I have and what you're doing. And I think it would bode us both well in the long term to sort of aim at that. Like I can be the prototype project that,
Yeah.
There's no rush or anything.
All right, so it starts with opening position. Maybe I'll make those into sections. Yeah, let's do that. Opening position.
And maybe if you do a play-by-play as you go, because this is a good tutorial for anyone watching.
Yeah. Okay. So since this is a 2-player flow, like it's very kind of straightforward to make. But if we have flows that are also like for 2 or 6 people or any number of people.
Okay.
And then we have some features for like rotating and like going through it. But I think we can start with just the basic idea here. So so it's like, I'm going to set different content. So then player A sees, please provide your opening statement or opening position, I think you called it.
Yeah.
And then I think it might be nice for them to know that's 1 minute. And then
Can you put a timer up?
Not yet, no. What will happen right now in our environment is once the 60 seconds are up, a bell will ding, and then it's up to the person themselves to press done. But we are working on things like automatically advancing and showing like a timer. But like where we're coming from is that it's an environment of like kind of calm connectedness. It's like we were never like moving people along forcefully, even though it's becoming kind of relevant for some of our use cases now. But just so you understand kind of like where we're coming
I
from.
got you. If I would say if there is a kind of thing that wouldn't take that long, if it could be added, I think a timer would be great for this type of
Yeah, for sure. Let me just look something up. I kind of forgot how to do that. Data.your name and data.a name. Okay. So we can go here. Hi. Well, okay, that's fine with that. And then opening position. A name. Please provide your opening position. And then what the partner sees is data.a name will now provide, will now share their opening position. Everyone else, there's not going to be a third person in the flow, but
no.
What we'll do is kind of copy this over there as well, just in case there is. So that's what we got for this opening A, and then opening B is very similar. We just rotate that around. So will be different content for each person. We got the text prompts. Sorry, for B, they see please provide your opening position, and I'll copy it from the other one. And A will see data.b name will now share their opening position. Please listen. Everyone else will also see that. So that's the implementation of the opening position, and the rest are going to be basically the same, except you have responses in different timings. So yeah. let's continue. Yeah. So then what's up next is the main argument.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And this one is 3 minutes long. So that's 180 seconds. All right. So yeah, feel free to chime in on like what these prompts should look like. I'm kind of imagining them right now. So like, please provide your main argument. I don't know if that's what you want people to see, but yeah. Okay, then we can kind of continue with this pattern. Should be pretty quick to implement. I'm gonna kind of like fly through it now. We'll now share their arguments. And it's data.a name. And everybody else will see the same thing as well. And then comes a.
Oh wait, you got 1 minute instead of 3?
Yeah, sorry, I think I probably got that wrong. Please provide your main arguments. I'll share their main arguments.
I'm just wondering, they give a 3-minute main argument and then a 1-minute response. And then I got it wrong here. Then it has to go to player B giving the main argument. Do you think that's a good? Do you think they should have it? Because like, let's say you give a 3-minute argument, and then I give a 1-minute response to that, whatever it was, and then I give my 3-minute main argument. Do you think that flow will kind of work, or do you think they should just go 3-minute main argument and 3-minute main argument?
I really don't know too much about debate, to be honest.
Just from your logical mind.
So you want them both to share their main arguments first and then their responses?
Well,
yeah.
What I put forward here is player A gives a 3-minute argument, and then player B has 1 minute to respond directly to it.
Yeah.
Then he gives his main argument, and then player A has 1 minute to respond to it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just player A having a 3-minute argument, and then player B having a 3-minute argument. I think I like the 1 minute responses because it's people are, you say something, there's something I want to say about it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just go with that.
Let's just try that. We can always experiment and see how it feels in reality.
Okay.
Okay, so it goes argument A, please write your main argument. Data.a name will now share their main argument. Okay, and then response, right? Response from B. So B will
share their response to the player A's main argument.
Yeah, so data.b name respond to please respond to data.a name, right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe put main argument.
Okay. Sure. Okay. And then here we'll see something like.
And then it goes to player B's main argument.
Yeah, will now respond.
No. Oh, right. Okay, you're doing the other.
At this step, yeah, he's still responding, right? Or they're still responding. Will now respond to your main argument. And then in case there's this everyone else, it will be like data.a name will now respond to data.a name main argument. Okay. And then we basically give B a chance to do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'm going to try to get a little bit advanced. I'll do this kind of like looping feature that we have, so that we don't have to like copy the same text over again and do that all over again.
Does it switch the players?
Yeah, what it's gonna do is gonna switch the players. So then A becomes B and B becomes A. And we're gonna go back to this top step unless everybody has completed that top step. So it's like kind of like a way to program the flow within the flow. Yeah. Next step, if everyone completed argument A, otherwise go back to, and I'll have to check if this works. Go to step A, and otherwise we go on to the next section, which would be open game, right?
Open game. 10 minutes.
I'm just going to quickly write this here and see if what I have so far works, so we don't go too far without like kind of testing something. In this case, we do have 3 people in there, but it should be okay. I don't have a way yet to configure the preview to be like just for 2 people.
Yeah.
But so what we're seeing now is like the views from 3 different people. So it starts off, everybody has to click done just to kind of get into the flow. Then it says, okay, Oliver, please provide your opening position. And then it says Oliver will now share their opening position for player B as well as for player C in this case.
Okay.
And it's calculating it at 40 seconds because there's 3 people in here. It kind of automatically takes the timing that we gave and tries to fit it in there, but it's actually 60 seconds.
Isn't that going to screw things up a bit, or?
No, it won't. Once there's only 2 people in there, it'll go back to being 60 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just trying to make sure that everybody ends on time if there's multiple people in there. Yeah. So Oliver, please provide your opening position. And then Delphine, please provide your opening position. I forgot the button. So let me add the button there. Okay. Opening position. Now we go to please provide your main argument, 3 minutes. Sorry, I'm forgetting the buttons. So done. And yeah, this feature of like automatically progressing is going to become useful. So that's coming soon, I think. Done. I think that's all we need. Yeah.
Because it acts as a timer, right?
Yeah, it would be like a timer that shows up at the top, and then we can configure whether or not it actually automatically moves the person over or if it stays. Yeah.
Because it'll basically at the end of 3 minutes, it'll stop and say, now press done and move to the next kind of thing. Is that?
Yeah, we're not sure of like really how it's going to look exactly yet, but something will pop up, and then it will be like 30 seconds remaining on this step, right? It'll be kind of counting down.
Oh, nice.
Maybe here in the top right corner. Yeah, it's not yet. We still have to design this and make this. It doesn't exist yet. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, you know, when that time is up, maybe it will flash or something, and then it will move the person over. Yeah. But we don't have that yet.
Okay.
What we're working on now is actually a timer for the whole flow to make sure that everybody ends at the same time. But the timer like in between each step, we don't have that. We're not working on that yet. Yeah. Okay, but then it goes, Oliver, please provide your main argument, and then he's done. Delphine, please respond to Oliver's main argument. And then now Delphine is providing her main argument. And because there's a player 3, Edric, that's responding to Delphine's argument, but that's wouldn't happen if there were only 2 people. Now Edric is providing his main argument. And then Oliver's responding to Edric's main argument. And now we're at the 10 minutes open game. Okay, so it's a little bit confusing because of the 3-person thing, but it's working as intended. And then what's the prompt that you want to see for the 10-minute open game?
You are now invited for an open game discussion, no dialogue.
Open
game dialogue. How about, and maybe just say something like, please try to respect try not to interrupt too much.
Okay.
Do you think, I don't know, open game in a debate is pretty funny sometimes, eh? Yeah, I guess
let's do this, and right now just kind of get the flow down and then figure out how we can fine tune these kind of things. Conclusion. Let me add the conclusion. 2 minutes each, right? They get their own time. Okay. Okay. Content.
so. If we take out the moderator, then it's basically 24 minutes, I think, the whole thing.
Yeah, it's short. Like people have to be good at you know, debating, I guess, to be able to do this. But
yeah.
A name. Include.
So this is basically your you do this with anyone who wants to create their own process, right? As a kind of between those who create the processes versus those who are going through them.
I mean, this is kind of the start of collaborating with people to make flows. Usually we make our own flows.
Okay.
Or maybe we hear like a certain need at a company, or we imagine a certain kind of like target audience. We make a flow for them, and then we demo it. Like, hey, how does that feel to you? And then they'll give some feedback. We go back and then adjust it. So this actual like back and forth designing in real time.
I got you.
That's
how many flows do you have?
I don't even know how many flows we have off the top of my head.
Like over.
We have like, yeah, over 20. We have I think 6 or 7 featured flows, and then so that's for the kind of stranger sessions that people can have at any time. And then for companies, we're designing various flows that are like at different stages of completion and feedback. Yeah. I have an interesting slide later on I can show you. If I'll look it up about all the different flows. Yeah. Please conclude, or please provide your closing statement, or how do you want to?
Yeah, I guess provide your closing statement.
Data dot name will no data dot a name will not provide a statement. And it's chance for B to do the same, and then we're done. Done button. Data dot A name. Data dot B name, please provide a closing statement. And let me add another step here at the end. Done.
Now, is there a place to put a logo at all?
No. No. Like, this is not really, yeah, this is where we kind of get into the edges of what this was designed for and your use case. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not really like it's not like a spectator thing, right? It's not like that multiple people are watching along and that kind of stuff. That's totally not what we have at this point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, like the recording feature, which I think is going to be important for you, that's also not yet enabled. So there's quite a few things that we don't have. Yeah.
That would be, is that coming up quickly? Because I don't think we can test this out without recording it.
Yeah, so it's my kind of idea with this was, to get an idea of like how we could collaborate on these things and what might be required. And I can't really promise anything about when things will be done. So like, if there is like a real need and like, you need to use this for, I don't know, a big deal that you have coming up and it's like due next week,
Right.
then I can't help you with that. But if it's more like collaborative and like just kind of exploring the space together, yeah.
I'll go on your timeline, because there's quite a bit of stuff to do on my end, and I'm sort of setting it up so it can sort of, I want this to work in this way, but if it doesn't, then you can find some other way to do it, kind of thing, right? I mean, you can basically have debates if you want in Zoom, but it's not the same thing. So, and I see where you're going, and I like the philosophy, and I could never talk to Zoom, right? I mean, maybe, but chances are probably not that much. So to me, smaller tech companies you can actually work with because they're still, me and you were talking, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so we can test it out, but we can't record it.
Yeah, I mean, what we could do is, depending on how you want to like, beta test this or like try it out, you could record your own screen, or you could, get two people together and instruct them on how to record things, depending on who you're testing this with. But like making it, ready for mass adoption, like some kind of pipeline that automatically records and then uploads the recording so that you can have it and edit it and adds logos and all that kind of stuff. Like that's all of that like extra polishing, which will take a while to really get right. Yeah.
For sure. And I think that, the only, again, it's up to you. If you did just add the record part, which I think for you is a pretty good part for any of your stuff, right? I think it's
well, I mean, where we're coming from is like, this is intimate conversations that people are having in private. So like we actually never needed a recording feature. Also, just for like privacy reasons, right? It just didn't make sense to even consider that. But now that I'm starting to use it and our team's starting to use it for like meetings and stand-ups and trainings, maybe that kind of thing, it would make sense to record it and then maybe even automatically transcribe it and generate action items. Like
For
we're running meetings inside of Warmspace now as well.
Yeah.
So it would be super useful.
I'd say it's necessary for your business, for business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, how about, because, okay, now how would I access it? Do you send me a link or something? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I would send you a link, and then actually I have to make an account for you, and then basically you can go into that account, and then you have an instant link. And when you share that link with somebody, if you guys both click on it at around the same time, you'll both be paired up and go into the session together.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'd
Okay,
be a way to kind of like beta test it. Yeah.
okay, so I guess, is this as far as we can go right now? And then I'll sort of wait for you to do that.
Yeah.
I'll start to arrange, I'll see if I can arrange maybe a few debates the next week or so, and see if I can just play with it a bit, see how it goes.
Yeah, I would love it if it's not anything kind of like super high stakes, you know. I don't know if you're like demoing it to somebody that you know it needs to work for, or whatever. Like if it's just
No.
between us. Yeah.
Everything's cash. Just
Okay.
just with this.
Yeah.
Let me just someone is wanting to. Sorry about that.
No worries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll need a little bit of time to set up the account thing for you. And then just kind of like reiterating what I'm listening for is like, okay, like you're asking for logo, you're asking for, you know, recording feature, these kind of things, right? Like I'm listening for what are the general features that we would need to make Powered by Warmspace work for debate and other things.
Okay.
So like I'm going to be like interpreting what you're saying and asking, and it might come out in a slightly different way.
Okay.
It might be like, hey, would that work for you? So like that's the collaboration kind of that we're doing here.
I hear you.
Yeah.
No, I'm very appreciative and I'm excited, but I'm not. I don't. You know, I'm not going to rush you. Not that I could, but I understand your position. So
Yeah.
let's just take it as it goes.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will get back to you on the Facebook Messenger with like a way to test this. I just have to check with my co-founder on how to set up that link, because that's a system that he built. But I can get that to you either today or tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great to see you, Oliver.
Yes. Good to see you too.